What's going on, DMG clan? That's right, GameSir has sent me one of their new controllers for review, and I got one also for you. So let's see what GameSir has for us in store in the middle of 2024. As you can see on the table, mobile gamers, I have a lot of mobile controllers. GameSir sent me their latest controller that I thought looked really cool, and I still think it looks really cool. There is a but with this controller though. That big but is it doesn't work for everything. It's got one singular driver that they advertise for it to be a Xbox style streaming controller where they use Game Pass, which they do give you 1 month of Game Pass for free, which is awesome, which is the ultimate Game Pass. And I'm not one of the biggest people to actually use that. I don't really play my Xbox that much anymore, and the fact that they emphasize that it's for Android, that it has Game Pass and all that fun fancy stuff, that's where this controller would shine. Now, why I'm saying this right away and why I have Call of Duty Mobile open right away, well, that's because natively this controller, which is Bluetooth by the way, does not work with Call of Duty Mobile. It's not the end of the world. Not everybody plays Call of Duty Mobile. Now, the reason why I say that is because this is one of the games that I always go to. It is a popular game. Lots of people like playing Call of Duty Mobile. And the Turtle Beach, which kind of looks like the same style of controller, a little bit more heftier. And I think it's more solid, by the way. Not trying to sell you guys on the Turtle Beach one, but this one is more solid. It doesn't work for Call of Duty Mobile either. So whatever, right? Now, I have this out for a specific reason, which is going to be explained later. That's not the end all be all. It works okay when you set it up for emulation, for example. I have it set up to play some Super Mario Bros. I got a save state here just so that I can jump right into it, and it plays. It does what it needs to after you set it all up, and it works. Don't really have any latency issues. Bluetooth these days is really good with no latency, especially when you have the Bluetooth device that you're connected to right next to your device. That's one big thing that a lot of people ask me when it comes to mobile controllers or any of the older other mobile controllers like the BSP lineup controllers, which I'm going to explain a little bit in a few minutes as well. So Bluetooth latency, as you can see, I'm clicking buttons and everything's interacting correctly. Of course, this is emulation, so if there's any slowdowns or anything like that, that's not because of the controller, that's just the emulator on this phone that I'm actually specifically using. I'm using a LG V60 right now, and processor aside, it's a pretty powerful processor. It's not that old of a phone, and yeah, you can do all this fun stuff, but that's all just based off the phone, not the controller, by the way. So all that aside, a controller like this, it does work for emulation. I've tested it with NES, I tested it with Game Boy, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, you can map it for all of those games. Now, I also tested it with the Java edition of Minecraft, which I'm going to show you. And it did not work. So I set up all the button mapping, and here is Java edition of Minecraft. Now, again, not everybody's just going to be playing Java edition Minecraft, but it is one of those games that's pretty popular. It does work for the regular Minecraft, and it does work for COD Warzone, and if you have the key mapper tool installed, which is the GameSir app, it works for that, and Roblox. It does work a lot for some and most native Android games like Doom and stuff like that. And the application itself, which I still have it installed, actually tells you what games will actually pick up based off of the games that are inside of your device, or if you have like different games on your actual device. So here we go. Let's go to games. This will actually tell you what games work and what they work for. And if you go into the settings and stuff, it'll say, hey, this controller needs like a third-party application. It doesn't work. Well, it needs this application. It doesn't work natively, and it doesn't work natively properly. Whereas certain controllers that are only in the $30 range, which is going to bring me to my next point, this thing being the controller, is $129.99 on Amazon. That is Canadian, by the way, so if you want to do the conversion, go ahead and do that. I am in Canada. I don't want to do the conversion right now. I'm sure you can figure it out. And that's expensive. For a controller that only gives you one singular option to work with some native Android games and obviously Xbox Game Pass, I'm assuming. I haven't tried Xbox Game Pass. I don't plan on it, and I'm sure it works. I'm not going to go there. Now, those are my major flaws with the controller because of the operating system or the drivers installed. The things that I really like, other than the fact that yes, it does wiggle around. I lost the little pads. It comes with little pads, and I'm going to show you that right now. There's little pads that came in the case and everything, and that can be added to like right here so that it will hold on to the phone if it doesn't have a case. Now, that is one major flaw that I noticed as well, is that this lip right here, it's not good enough to wrap around like a thicker phone like the Turtle Beach. And I'm showing this one is because this is the only other kind of controller that I've ever seen like this. Other than the Red Magic Nubia, they have a controller that literally looks exactly like this one. And I think GameSir and Red Magic might have a hand in hand with each other because it's literally the same controller. Correct me if I'm wrong. Comment on the comment section below. I almost said the description. But let me know if you guys know if GameSir and Red Magic or Nubia are the same company, because I have this controller right here and it literally looks like and acts like the X2 or whatever GameSir controller that they have on the GameSir site, and this is the Red Magic version of it, and it looks exactly the same as the Xbox version style, except for it has an Xbox button right here. So yeah, that's an interesting thing to take note of. But what I was saying is that my phone, I know it is a bigger phone, but it has a thicker case, and a lot of us have thicker cases on it. I also have like a pop socket on the back that just can stay on with this case. And yes, I did peel out the rubber tabs, and I did mention that in my review about this thing. And I was able to just wrap that plastic, and it has still more room. I was able to wrap that plastic around my case. And when I have my phone in here, this feels like a nice hefty controller with a phone. And this is actually a really nice feel. Like, it doesn't feel like it's wiggling or anything. I'm bending it and it's not moving around. Again, even with this phone with a phone case on it, it would probably feel really nice. And I did keep the little rubber tabs just in case I wanted to put them back in or anything like that. And the coolest feature that I thought about this controller was this connectivity, just like so, where it goes in together like that. And this one does the same thing. So I'm going to show you that right now. The coolest feature about what I think is about these two controllers is just the fact that it just folds up just like that, rather than having to sit like this on a desk somewhere. Folds up, and then they even give you a nice fancy smancy looking case with it. Now, do I care about this case? Not really. Like, it is a nice case. I'm not going to shove this case in my pocket, and maybe I will bring it with me if I'm going away on vacation or something, but it's not really the biggest feature of these controllers. And I'm doing this review a little bit differently because I spent an hour messing around with this thing. Nowhere to lie, as you can see here on the screen. I played around with this thing for an hour, trying to get things working, tried messing around with the GameSir app. I actually watched a few YouTube videos about GameSir's controllers because I've owned some of them, which I still have one of them right here. I also had the Xbox style looking one, and I still had the same problem. The same problem that I had in the past. Now, that problem again is that it doesn't work for every game on the Android marketplace. Not everybody's going to be out there for emulation. Sure, it works for emulation. That's easy. You just grab the buttons that you need to and you set them up inside the emulator themselves. So if you go into here and you go to key gamepad input, you can actually auto detect and then set up your gamepad, and this driver, which is inside this controller, does work that way, which is great. Fine. That's all fine and dandy. But for games that are actually native on Android that you expect to actually work, like Call of Duty Mobile, for example, don't actually work properly. and some other games as well. Like I had that Minecraft situation. So let me connect this to my phone right now, and I will show you that. Okay, so I hold down the Bluetooth icon, the GameSir X4A for Xbox shows up, click pair. I had to disconnect it from the other phone there, and it does connect very nicely. The other cool thing, the other cool feature that they actually implemented so that this thing actually goes to sleep when you disconnect it, is that when you lift this up, it turns on. That is actually a pretty neat feature. I like that. Now, again, my phone is not really seated in there very good. It's not grabbing onto the top. I did peel these out and I put them back in recently just so that my other phone wouldn't fall out. But I peeled these out and it still does not have enough clearance. If I can actually get this out of here. There we go. Took even the bottom ones out, by the way. It does not have enough clearance for that to wrap around my phone case properly without it bending the phone case or anything like that. Yeah, I could take my phone case off, but why would I want to do that? And then as you can see, it just sits like this. So why would I want that? Because I want my phone to feel secure in here, and I want to just be able to just go like this, pop it in. And I know my phone is a little bit bigger, but that is not the point. That is the fact that I've tried to manipulate this to make it work better, and it doesn't. Sure, I could cut this plastic down, but I think if I do that, I think this might drop down even further into the actual case, and I'm not sure if that's going to damage something, because it looks like that plastic, which I investigated a bit, does stop right there. So let's put this back in here anyways. See if we can get this going. And it does connect. It's pretty fast to connect. The Bluetooth is good. The driver's good on here for the Bluetooth. But if I go into PoJav launcher, for example, which is for Java Minecraft, by the way, if you don't know what that is, I go press play. Oops. There we go. Wait for it to load, hopefully. When you start putting a button layout on here, look at the joystick on the left-hand side. For some reason, I've set up my joysticks, I've gone into the UI settings, and I've tried changing things, and I even thought maybe I should clear my data and cache and all that kind of stuff. Here, let's go back in here and show you that so that it doesn't look like I am trying to say anything against this company. Maybe this can be updated with a driver or something. I've already tried updating it. But if I go to controls, I reset the controller mapping, and then I go back out and press play again. When you go into this game, it does give you the option to press A, B, X, and Y, start, and select. Move the joystick right, move it to the bottom, move the right to the right, right to the bottom, LB, RB, LT, RT, D-pad, and look at this. It keeps wanting to push this joystick off to the left-hand side. Not sure why. Tried messing around with settings, and it just keeps doing that. Whereas my other controllers, which even this one right here, I had to take a test with, and I'm going to show you after, do not do that. And I like to play Minecraft Java Edition on my phone. I don't play it a lot on my Odin 2, which is an all-in-one handheld, because, well, I have other reasons why I use that device, and I play a lot of other games on there. Now, it is good on there. It works really well. The reason why I like getting controllers is because not everybody has access to buy an Odin 2, for example, which is a $300 USD device, and that's just, the country sometimes doesn't allow those kind of things, but you can get a controller in those countries, or maybe you only have 50 bucks and you want to buy a cheap controller. And that's the thing, like, this is not a cheap controller. It's $130, and then you sideload it with a $1,000 phone like this one is, and yeah, you have yourself an expensive device, but it still does not work properly. Okay, so that is that situation out of the way. Now I'm just going to show you, just for giggles and laughs, because I know some people are probably going to be like, oh, you just didn't try the other one. Okay, well, here we go. All right, so I'm going to connect this, and if I remember correctly, you just got to press both those buttons. It'll connect. There it goes, and it connected pretty fast. I'm going to go back into PoJav launcher, and again, this feels really solid. I'm not trying to do a review about this controller per se. I am trying to just show you, hey, this controller does work properly the way it's supposed to, and I think this controller just feels really nice. Now, right to the bottom, left to the bottom, and oops, I hope I didn't do that wrong, but let's try this again just in case. And right and down. And there you go. See, that joystick is working. And I'm able to press my buttons and go into my new world and just play my game the way that I want to. And if you don't know about Minecraft Java Edition on Android, well then you should subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to share how to play it on Android again. I've shared this in the past, but I figured I'd do it again as an updated guide, because playing Minecraft Java Edition is actually, I think it's a lot better than Minecraft Bedrock Edition, to be honest. Now Console Edition, which is like Xbox 360 Edition or Switch Edition, etc, etc. I like those ones better than all the Minecrafts combined. Now, this isn't about Minecraft. Let's get out of here. This is about what this controller can do. And I think I'm done with showing you that this controller is pretty nice. And yeah, when you connect it, it does turn off, which is great. It still does what it's supposed to. They need to learn their lessons. I am not bashing this company, but I've had 4 different GameSir controllers. 2 of them went back to the Amazon warehouse, and wherever they went after that, I don't care. And I still have this one because it just was cheap and I kept it, and it sits there and collects dust. So it's going to one of you guys eventually. Still a good controller. It does what it needs to for certain things, but it's not my favorite. And again, that is this thing right here. It has cool features. Cool features. Let's show you what they are. You can change out the joysticks. Okay. You have different joysticks that come with it. You can change them out, pop them in somehow, and that's a pain in the butt too. Sometimes it doesn't fully line up properly, and then you're risking breaking them. There's different sizes and stuff too here. Got the smaller size if you like that kind of style. They tried to accommodate for everybody in that regard, which I'll show you in a second here. Okay, I think that's in there. Any of these controllers, I guess this one, for example, it has a smaller style joystick to it, just like this one does, which is great. And these joysticks feel great. They're soft when you click them. They feel kind of like a Hall effect joystick. I'm not sure if they are or not. I know it's very hard to tell these days what Hall effect is when you're touching these joysticks, because some companies lie and say they are, and some they say they're not. I said that these were Hall effect, and I swear these are Hall effect. They feel magnetized, but I don't know. I swore these were Hall effect joysticks. That's the Easy SMX that I recently reviewed. But anyways, that's one of the cool features. Now, you're supposed to be able to change the D-pad. So this is supposed to pop up, but for some reason, I think the glue on the plastic or something is permanently stuck in there or something. I could not get this out. I tried even small pliers. I couldn't pop this plastic piece off. It would not come off for the life of me. It just pulled out the whole piece of plastic. And you're supposed to be able to change it. Now, would I use this kind of style D-pad? Probably not. The D-pad is micro switch style feeling buttons. Same with the triggers. They are kind of tactile feeling. These ones feel like micro switches, which is nice. I actually like that click. Same with the A, B, X, and Y buttons. They're more tactile feeling, where these ones feel micro switchy. And another cool feature, which goes hand in hand with the operating system as well, because they did think of this aspect. You don't like the A, B, X, and Y buttons like this? They're magnetized. You can pull them out and swap them to your liking if you like the Xbox style buttons, or if you want to just confuse your friends that are like, what kind of controller is that? Got the Y right there instead of the X right there, and the A and B. That's like the Xbox Switch controller. Oh, that's just dumb. Anyways, so yeah, that is one thing that I thought it was really cool. Now, another controller that I actually still have in my possession, by the way, that has this feature, which I did not know, is the Red Magic Nubia. And it does the same thing. These are actually a little bit easier to pop out. I have a band-aid on my thumb because I hurt my thumb a while ago, so it's just covering that. It's hard to pull things out. Anyways, so they have the same kind of thing. Now, I don't think they have the same feature that this controller does, And that feature is if you hold down the M button and you hold down the A, this will flash for a second, saying that the mode just changed. Now, the mode that just changed swapped these buttons. So this should be the A, this should be the B, this should be the X, this should be the Y. Now, if I did that again, should flash. See if it does it. I don't know if it'll do it if I don't have the other one turned on. Let's actually plug a phone in again. I think the one side needs to actually be connected for this to actually activate. There we go. So see how it flashed like that? That means that the mode just changed. Now, it just connected to my other phone, obviously, because that was the last controller that it connected to. And we can go in to our GameSir app and actually take a look at what mode we have set up for this right now. So I think we have to go in here, button settings, and yeah, it swapped it over to the B, A, X, and Y layout. Now, if I click this, it'll actually swap it to that layout for me, and then I have to actually, it says you have to restart it to actually make it activate. So you just have to go like that, and then that should activate that layout. And we can test that. You know, you can test that out by going into your gamepad test mode. A and B, X and Y, as you can see, is in the right spot. Now, let's try to change that again. So there we go. And there we go. So it does change it. It doesn't have to actually be reset, I guess. It does automatically switch it around. Now we have our joystick tester. We have false diagonals. Yeah, we have false diagonals. It is it is a micro switch kind of buttons though. But yeah, that's one big feature if you're playing fighting games and stuff. I guess people don't really like that. But anyways, so that is another cool feature. Now, as you can see on the app right here, we have Hall effect triggers. Now, Hall effect triggers means that if you're playing like a racing game and you need to go faster, or if you need to switch modes for racing games, then you can go ahead and do so. Not all games support that though. There is a way to switch this as well by holding the M button, holding down these two buttons, and there we go. Now we have just regular triggers again. As you can see, they don't have that Hall effect anymore. They just go right up to the 255 bit or 255. And I was trying to talk coding there for a second. And that's a different style of trigger. Now, I've tried all these modes. I've tried different connectivities. I've tried everything. Try to get this to natively work with certain games, and it just didn't. Cool that we have all these features. Cool that it is, you know, geared towards Game Pass. And cool that we got like a fancy looking case with all these different joysticks. And yeah, I would probably use the bigger style joysticks and stuff. And it does work for quite a few games, but there's some bugs that need to be tweaked and maybe updated. As you can see, it doesn't look like there's no updates available. So I updated it to the latest firmware, and it actually tells you on the app as well what your battery life is and all that kind of fun stuff. So they did a good job with all that. Now, I would recommend this to anybody that's willing to spend 130 bucks, that's expecting to play this with some Android games, with the help of the GameSir app for some games with the on-screen button mapping tool. And if you want to play Game Pass and all that fun stuff. But it does not play a lot of native games that are on an Android device properly, including subscribing to the channel once again if you haven't done so already, because I know this is a long review, but I wanted to get my point across with this thing because I have so many controllers here. I have this GameSir, I have this one. This is the BSP D6, D7 controller. It has multiple different modes. It connects to Nintendo Switch, it connects to Android, it connects to iOS, it connects to Xbox, and it does play Call of Duty Mobile perfectly fine. These USB-C style controllers, other than the Easy SMX, which I did a review about that one recently, this controller has a secret feature built into it, which is freaking amazing, by the way. If they changed the layout of this thing to be kind of like this, I would buy like 100 of them. This has got the best drivers in them, and it has awesome features that I honestly like. I feel like this controller is a good $40. I think it was like $63 Canadian, and you can get a discount with this thing. This controller has multiple different modes. You can play with it however you want. It works for everything. It feels good in the hands, and it fits a lot of different devices without any problems. Whereas this controller right here, my final thoughts on this thing is just get it if you really want to play Game Pass and some games like Fortnite. I'm sure it works fine. I haven't tested Fortnite because I couldn't get into it for whatever reason, but on-screen buttons for PUBG if you want some emulation, I guess it's okay. It's not the best controller per se. Maybe it can be fixed with some updates or something right to the drivers, but I would not say it's the best one of 2024. GameSir needs to hear this. The CEO of GameSir needs to hear this. And that is why I'm doing a review this way, despite them sending me this, because it really puts in perspective if companies actually listen to their customers. Because technically I'm a customer now at this point, and yes, I'm trying to sell this to you guys, but I don't want to sell something that doesn't fully work for its purpose. Yes, they try to announce it as a Game Pass or Xbox kind of controller, but literally this thing is probably just going to sit in this case, and I don't know. I might try to sell it. I might do something with it. Maybe I'll send it back to them. Who knows what they want me to do with it. I got a second one anyways. The reason why I got a second one, because I bought it on AliExpress, and I ended up reaching out to them after the fact, asking them if they could send me one of their new controllers for review, and they actually got back to me while I was like already having this thing shipped and everything from AliExpress. So I got another one here for you guys. So all you have to do is just comment on this video, anything that you want. Doesn't matter what you comment. One comment per entry, not one entry per comment. I guess that kind of makes the same sense. So if you want to win one of these shipped out to you, it's going to be untracked. It'll be shipped out to you though. Unless you're in North America, I'll track it. But if you're out in the East, it's going to be untracked. I've had no issues with sending controllers out East. I'm just saying that now. And you'll win one of these GameSir X4 Aileron controllers, which I said, it's a nice controller, but it doesn't do everything that I personally would want it to do. And maybe you're not a hardcore Android gamer. I've been Android gaming since like 2013. No, even further than that. 2011-ish probably was when I first started doing gaming on Android phones. And that was back when games were kind of crappy. But that aside, that's all I got to say about this controller. All these other controllers, the BSP lineup, they've done everything. Like even this one, yeah, it's a weird looking controller. It's super freaking long, and it can do all the stuff and play all the games on your Android device. It can also play Switch, like it connects to a Switch. So there's obviously a way. And same with this one. This one is a dual. I'm gonna let you know that now. This one has Bluetooth inside it plus USB-C. So that if you need to switch over to the Bluetooth driver, which yes, the Xbox controller X input mode, the proper driver for that does require this for Call of Duty Mobile, then get yourself an Easy SMX. It's a really cheap controller. It's not cheap as in it's cheap, but it's cheap-ish for money-wise for you to buy. And it works on everything that I've thrown at it Android-wise. The X4 Aileron GameSir, it's up to you if you want to buy that thing for $130 Canadian, that is. That's all I'm going to say. What kind of a buy was that?